For over 75 years, NATO has been the backbone of Western security. A military alliance of 31 nations bound together by a simple but powerful promise. An attack on one is an attack on all. But how did NATO become the world's most powerful military alliance? What are its real strengths and weaknesses? And with rising global tensions, is NATO still as relevant as ever? Well, let's break it all down. Before we dive deeper, if you enjoy thoughtful breakdowns of global events, history, and politics, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. Now, let's get into it. To understand NATO, we need to go back to 1949. The world was still recovering from the devastation of World War II, but a new threat had emerged, the Soviet Union. Fearing Soviet expansion into Western Europe, 12 nations, including the US, Canada, and much of Western Europe, signed the North Atlantic Treaty. At the heart of this agreement was Article 5, a revolutionary commitment that stated if one NATO member was attacked, all members would respond as if they themselves had been attacked. It was a direct and powerful warning to Moscow. Attack one of us, and you fight all of us. But NATO wasn't just a military pact. It was also a political alliance aimed at maintaining stability in Europe. Over the decades, it would grow far beyond its original membership, adapting to meet new global realities. Throughout the Cold War, NATO and the Soviet-led Warsaw Pact stood on the brink of direct confrontation. Europe was split, West versus East, democracy versus communism. During this tense period, NATO's goal was simple: contain Soviet influence and prevent another devastating war. Both sides built massive arsenals, leading to a precarious balance of power often referred to as mutually assured destruction. However, the ultimate test of NATO's necessity came in 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed. Suddenly, NATO's original enemy was gone, leading some to question whether the alliance still had a purpose. Instead of dissolving, NATO adapted to new realities and expanded its role in global security. The post-Cold War world brought new and different challenges. Regional conflicts erupted, terrorism became a global threat, and NATO found itself evolving from a purely defensive organization to a more active interventionist force. In the 1990s, NATO led peacekeeping missions in Bosnia and Kosovo, proving it could manage crises beyond its traditional borders. But the real turning point came on September 11, 2001, when terrorists attacked the United States. For the first and only time in history, NATO invoked Article 5, treating the attack on the US as an attack on all its members. This led to NATO's involvement in Afghanistan, the alliance's longest and most complex military operation. Yet not every NATO mission has been a success story. Divisions emerged over the Iraq War, and prolonged campaigns in Afghanistan exposed challenges in coordination, commitment, and strategy among the member nations. Tensions with Russia, although simmering throughout the post-Cold War period, erupted dramatically in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine. In response, NATO dramatically increased its military presence in Eastern Europe, reinforcing its commitment to defend member states near the Russian border. Relations with Russia, once cautiously cooperative, deteriorated into a new era of hostility. The situation escalated even further in 2022 when Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Though Ukraine is not a NATO member, the alliance has provided significant military and humanitarian support, inflaming tensions with Moscow and leading many to ask whether a direct NATO-Russia war could become reality. Today, NATO remains the world's most powerful military alliance, but it faces serious internal and external challenges. Among its strengths are its collective defense principle, an unmatched combined military budget exceeding $1 trillion, and advanced technological and intelligence sharing capabilities. Yet internal disagreements often strain unity. Countries like Turkey and Hungary have at times clashed with broader NATO goals. Funding disputes are another sore spot, with the United States frequently criticizing European allies for not meeting their defense spending commitments. Furthermore, global dynamics are shifting. NATO was built to face threats in Europe, but now it must also address rising challenges from China and instability in regions far beyond the North Atlantic. Still, NATO is not retreating. In fact, it is growing. Finland recently joined the alliance, and Sweden is on its way, responding to renewed fears of Russian aggression. This expansion demonstrates NATO's continuing relevance, but it also highlights the delicate balance the alliance must maintain between deterrence and escalation. Whether NATO can stay united and effective in an increasingly multipolar world remains to be seen. Will it continue to be the dominant force in global security, or will new alliances and threats force it to evolve once again? From Cold War guardian to 21st century peacekeeper, NATO has constantly adapted to meet the world's most pressing security challenges. But as new threats emerge, one thing remains clear. NATO's future will depend not just on military strength, but on the unity, resolve, and shared vision of its member states. One of NATO's most significant accomplishments has been its role in stabilizing post-war Europe, and ensuring that countries ravaged by conflict had the security guarantees necessary to rebuild. Nations like West Germany, later reunified as a single Germany, flourished under NATO's protective umbrella, transforming from war-torn states into economic powerhouses. Similarly, countries like Italy and the Netherlands, once devastated by war, benefited from the collective security NATO provided, allowing them to focus on economic recovery and political stability rather than military defense. NATO's expansion into Eastern Europe in the 1990s and early 2000s marked another major achievement. Countries that had once been under Soviet influence, such as Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic, and the Baltic States, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, joined the alliance seeking protection from potential Russian aggression. These nations have credited NATO with not only bolstering their security, but also accelerating democratic reforms, improving military capabilities, and facilitating economic integration with the West. For many, NATO membership represented a definitive break from their communist past and a path toward greater stability and prosperity. Beyond Europe, NATO's involvement in global peacekeeping and humanitarian missions has left a lasting impact. The alliance's interventions in Bosnia and Kosovo helped end brutal ethnic conflicts and prevented further humanitarian disasters in the Balkans. NATO-led efforts in Afghanistan, though controversial, played a key role in dismantling terrorist networks and supporting reconstruction efforts in the war-torn nation. Additionally, NATO's counter-piracy operations off the coast of Somalia helped secure critical shipping lanes, protecting international trade routes that many nations If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. And subscribe for more deep dives into world events, history, and politics. Tap the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Browse our video archives for more educational content. See you next time.